Hi, everyone. I'm going to use the next few minutes to highlight Classroom Screen and how you can use this tool in your classroom. All right, so let's highlight some of the widgets that we have available to us. So, in case you're wondering what a widget is, it's a tool that's embedded into a website to enhance the website. And in this particular website, which is just classroomscreen.com, they have 12 embedded widgets, and you can see them all down here at the bottom of my screen. I'm just going to quickly kind of run through these. There's background. You can select a background from the choices that are here. You can also upload your own backgrounds, and you can see I've already uploaded one here. I'm just going to go ahead and select that one. And now I have a background that I uploaded. You also have a random name selector. So when I click on the widget, it opens it, and I can type in the names of my students. And I'm just going to type in a few. And I'm going to go ahead and select choose. And it's going to work through all of the names, and Francisco is the name that was chosen. Now notice I can resize this widget and I can move it to any part of the screen that I want. If I'm done using this widget, I can just exit out, and each widget also has its own settings. So I can click here on the settings and I can tell it to remember the chosen students. I can turn off animations and sounds, and I can even give it a background color if I wanted to. So that is the random name widget. Dice, you can roll dice. You can roll 1, 2, or 3. And just like before, the only option I have here is to change my background color. But I'm going to go ahead and close that. Sound level allows you to change the sensitivity. So the louder I speak, the sensitivity raises. If I've set my sensitivity at a 2 and the max noise is a 2, once I get over that threshold, I can turn this on where an alarm will go off to remind my students that they need to be quiet. And notice how it's changed from a red to a yellow. And the louder I talk, the bar goes up. So just a great visual to keep our voices down. Let's see, media. With media, I can embed an image, I can upload a video from YouTube, and I can even use the webcam. So maybe I have a visual that I want to incorporate into my lesson. Let me see if I have one right here. Here we go. So maybe I want to use this visual with my students. So see how I just added that little JPEG, and now I can use that as part of my lesson. The QR code. Now this one is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and select QR code. Notice this QR code generates right here. I'm just going to go back to my S'more right quick. And let's see. I was going to try to grab the URL. Sorry, I thought I had published this just a second ago. So let me copy this URL. I can go back here, paste it, and now it's generated a URL that my students can bring their devices up to the room and scan, and it'll take them directly to the website that I generated the QR code for. I'm going to go ahead and close that just to get out of the way. You also have a simple little draw tool. Let's see, there it is. I just had to click. So I'm just going to quickly draw a smiley face. Notice you have some different tools over here. You can change the color, the thickness of the line. You can click on the crosshairs to move it, and I can also resize it. And I'll go ahead and delete that. Text. This is a great tool to use for maybe you have step-by-step directions. You might have your screen up at the beginning of class and you have your daily warm-up or whatever directions you want your students to follow. You would just type it here on the text. And so I'm just going to put happy holidays for right now. Oops. And then you can change the font, the size, all of those different things right here. And like before, you can resize as well. All right, so there's work symbols. There's 4 different work symbols you can choose from. Here they are. You have silence, whisper, ask a neighbor, work together, and I can make this bigger or smaller and move it to the part of the screen that I want. The traffic light is another great tool. Maybe I'm working with a group of students and I don't want to be bothered. So when I have the red light on, it means stay in your seats. Yellow mean it's okay to move around the room. Green is, maybe I'm not no longer working with a group of students and it's okay to be for students to approach me. There's also a timer. So you can go up or down, set your time. You can even choose some sounds for your timer to get the students' attention. Again, I'm going to close it. Then there's also a stopwatch. So maybe I'm going to time my students to see how long it takes them to clean up the room. All of those different things. I'll go ahead and stop it. Then you also have the clock. So the clock, I'm going to move it over here just for now. And notice it's set in a 12-hour increment. I can change it to a 24-hour increment, and it displays the time in digital and in analog form. And then the last tool is the calendar. And so the calendar, notice right here, when I have it in full mode, it'll show the calendar spread, and then it'll also do the day of the week. If I resize, it'll just show the date if that's all I want. Now, a couple of other things I want to point out. You can have all 13 widgets up at the same time, or you can just use as few as you want. If I don't want my students to see the widgets, I'm just going to use this little down arrow here at the bottom to hide my widget bar, so that way they're not distracted by all of the choices. I can click on here to unhide it. Then over here to the right, I also have a settings tool. And so notice over here, I can make my buttons less prominent or more prominent. I can also go full screen, just like that. You can also, let's see, I can crop certain parts of my image or my screen. I can even give it a background color if I wanted. Background color is not going to work since I have an image. Um, and then notice right here, I have buttons that'll move me from one screen to the next. Now, I bet you're thinking, well, can you have more than one screen? You can. So, up here in the top left corner, this is my home button, and I've created a Classroom Screen account. I went to classroomscreen.com, selected login with Google, and I synced it with my Google account. And again, this is all free. But you want to do that because there's a couple of little bonuses if you create an account of things you can do. You can have up to, I think it's 3 screens. So I could have a second screen that I maybe create for a different group of students. And I could click open, and maybe this one has a different background, or maybe I use this one for my closing activities at the end of the day, reminders, things that I want my students to remember. I'm just going to go ahead and choose the book. But now notice when I click on this side arrow over here, I can go between both of my screens. So that's kind of a neat little trick. You can also add a poll. So I could make a poll as one of my questions. And I'm going to go ahead and click open this. And so, what did you think of today's lessons? And the students would just click on to respond. Now, notice on the poll, you also have some different settings. You can edit the question. You can hide the results. You can reset it. You can change your picture. And just like before, if I go over here to the side, I can navigate to my different screens that I've created. So let's go back home. You can also add a group maker. So I'm going to go ahead and open this, and I can type in the names of my students. Let me put in a few more. And I'm just going to go ahead and click next. And I can tell it that I want 3 groups or 4 groups. Let's do 3 groups. And I'm going to go ahead and select create group. And it's going to take all the names that I typed and put them into separate groups. So really, it's just embedded in this tool. I don't have to go and use a different website or anything like that. Now, I'm going to go back to my home button again. And I wanted to show you here, when I was in this group maker, I kind of skipped over this. I'm going to go ahead and go back. You can also I'm going to go ahead and select right here where it says you can create and save name list here. So I could go in and create a name list that I can save to my classroom screen. So again, I should have saved these somewhere so I could easily pull them up. All right, so here's my list. So anytime that I'm on a screen, and let's say I open up this screen and I want to use my random name picker, it's already saved that list of students. And so I don't have to go and remember to type them in each and every time. And with this free version of Classroom Screen, you can have up to 3 separate lists saved. So again, you can have multiple screens, you can add a poll, you can add a group maker, and just navigate between all of these different screens as well. And I'm going to show you one more thing I completely forgot to show you is up here in the settings. If I go down to screen options, nope, I'm sorry, that's not the right place. There is a spot for you to also select the language. And okay, I wonder if I change that over here under my settings. So let me go to personalize. You can choose a language. So if I made this if I don't create an account, it shows up there on the side, but because I created an account, I have to go into my account settings. So if I wanted to make this Spanish, now when I go back to my screens and I open up my screen, all of my directions and everything will be in Spanish. So there's a lot of different languages for you to choose from if that's an option that you need. So let me know what you think about Classroom Screen. I know I went through this pretty fast, but it's a really easy tool, I think, to utilize. And there's so many different ways you can use this in your classroom. And anytime that I want to close or I didn't even point out, sorry, I'm going to say one more thing and then I'm going to leave. Let's say I wanted to have multiple dice open, I can. It's not just one widget. I can have multiple copies of the same widget up. So maybe I needed to have directions in English and Spanish. I could have 2 text boxes up, one with English and one with Spanish for my students. So again, you have multiple widgets you can use. You can use them simultaneously or independently. The choice is yours. So with that, I'm done. Let me know what you think about this tool. I can't wait to see how you use this in your classroom.